Three of the questions the representatives were asked were: first, why are unions important in higher education? Second, why did the unions choose to go with OEA-NEA? And third, why is there a need for three separate unions, all associated with OEA-NEA, on one campus?
There are two ways to govern in higher education. One is through a powerful faculty senate, and the other is through a union. Those places that do not have a powerful faculty senate, or where the senate is a mixture of administrators and faculty, need a union to protect faculty rights. And that's very common in state schools, where the Senate does not have the power that a union would have. Either way works, it just depends on the college.
It's nice to have. You may not need it, but there's a lot of people, some people don't know how to manage or how to just treat other individuals. And I think it's they're a great advocate group for employees who need somebody to speak on their behalf. And so quite frankly, being a union officer was real rewarding for me.
I believe that in higher education, like anywhere else, unionized employees tend to be more educated about their employer, and that in fact helps them make good decisions about the direction that their employer is headed, and even the decisions that they would make with regards to, negotiating contracts and their options with regards to what they would like in their contracts, what's affordable, what's not affordable, what's realistic, what's not realistic.
We could have joined the Teamsters, we could have joined AFL-CIO, any of the organizations out there, but we are education employees and we see our role in the world of education. People tend to think of the OEA as being a K-12 organization, but it's really not. And what happens to higher education also ultimately happens to K-12, or what happens to K-12 education happens to higher ed. We do work hand in hand.
That's probably the biggest problem, because there's not many of us out there, and the majority is K through 12. In terms of support throughout the years and what we've got through negotiations and handling things, we've been very satisfied with that. But in terms of the major issues, because there's not many organizations on the higher ed level, sometimes we feel that we aren't looked as strongly as we'd like to be. The other problem that occurs with that is, because the majority of K through 12, our due structure falls in the same category as theirs does, which we're much smaller. So, in terms of what we pay compared to like what ACE pays and so on and so forth. So, but I think in terms of the educational structure and the support and everything else, that's the primary reason, and we felt very strongly about that.
One of my frank reasons for choosing the OEA-NEA was this argument that yes, this is the 800-pound gorilla. It's larger by far. It has more resources by far than any other educational union. But if you don't infiltrate it and make your agenda part of its agenda, then it will hurt you. So my rationale was, let's recognize that this is a potential liability, this huge national and state organization. Let's recognize that they could very well lobby against our interest. Do we stand a snowball's chance in hell of effectively lobbying against them? No, because our numbers are so small. What's a realistic alternative? Infiltration. Go inside, become a part of the organization, make yourself indispensable to the organization, schmooze with the K-12 elected leaders, undertake diplomatic initiatives of all sorts, And that's what we did. Probably 60 to 100 of us through the early 70s across the country. We were the infiltrators into the National Education Association. We created the Higher Education Caucus, the Higher Education Council. We got higher education people appointed through the action of the Representative Assembly. We got higher education reps appointed to every sitting standing committee and commission. And I think we infiltrated pretty well. So when you have people from higher education sitting on all the important committees and commissions, you can monitor, you can observe, and you can influence. So I make no bones about it. It was infiltration. And it was deliberate, it was intentional, it was planned, and it worked pretty well.
We each have a unique role here. OEA, of course, the faculty, the APIS unions, the professional union, which consists of coordinators and up to some middle management positions, and then we are the support staff. And we each bring something different to the table, different views on current issues that the university is facing, whether it's funding or a new class or program they're going to offer. I believe the more unions you have here, the stronger everyone is. And you get a different perspective, so it works quite well.
Well, I think they all have different needs. I'm still not sure whether or not we couldn't have been absorbed into maybe the other two somewhere with our entire membership when we organized, but since we didn't, we are three. But I think it's because everybody's interests are very different. You have the classified unit who is civil service. They live under a completely different set of rules. There are things that govern them that don't have anything to do with the rest of us. So there is definitely a need for them to be organized. We have the faculty who have their own issues and that are not like ours at all. And I have always said that in any organization, you don't have unions until you need them. There are many professional people who are not organized. But unions come about because there was a need for them. The people involved voted to have a union for some reason rather than not have a union. So I think when you look at YSU and see 4 unions on campus, I think that says a lot for the labor environment here. But you have unions because you need them, period.
I think there's a need to have all of them represented. And whether that's through OEA in separate units is debatable. There was probably 20 years ago or close to that, a move to have the classified employees integrated into the faculty union, have one big union. And the faculty overwhelmingly rejected that. The issues that the classified employees have are very different from the issues that the faculty have. And the union that I think falls in between is APIS, with the professional staff union, because a lot of the positions in APIS on other campuses, other university campuses, a lot of those positions are included in the faculty union. Everything from coaches to librarians to academic advisors, for example. And since APIS is as small as it is, it doesn't really have enough, doesn't generate enough in local dues to be able to participate as much as they should in state and national activities. And we have on occasion discussed whether people in APIS might not be better served if APIS was disbanded. Some of those members would go into the faculty union, some would go into the classified employees union to be represented. But I haven't picked up any real strong interest on that from APIS people in the past 5 or 6 years anyway. And before that there was some interest, but then there are always going to be then people who are in the faculty or in the classified union who may feel threatened by that. There may be people in APUS who feel threatened by that, by losing their identity. So I suspect it's going to remain the way it is for some time to come.